Oh, careful what you say now.
That's right, we got permanent records. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for making it. Those of you that went to John Bai's class last month. He went over in depth about building out your business and referrals. And then Josh came to me and what did you say?
I said, the business to business is great and we need to be doing that. But the first step is make sure you're working your database. So let's kind of start at the basic level and go from there. Don't go do something more complicated when you're bypassing the easy stuff.
Especially that's where the majority of sales happen anyway.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so for those of you in Zoom, I don't know, it'll depend on if we have time for questions in there, but it's gonna be a lot harder to kind of stop the presentation and go to the questions. So that's the benefit of being here in person. Hint, hint.
That's right.
So make sure that you guys everyone got handouts. So Josh, are you gonna go over those as you go?
Yeah,
Or you
as
wanna
we
go
go.
over them in the beginning?
As we go through, as they're relevant, we'll talk about them.
Okay.
They're all in the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
they're all in the screen, on the screen. That's good. So Zoom people, even though you're not here, wherever you are, the handouts, there will be images of them on the slides that you'll see too. So,
Yes, if everyone could please silence your cell phones and watches, pagers, beepers.
oh, my page.
Pagers.
Oh, wait, I've got the beepers.
I heard someone beeping. All right, so we will get started. I will share and let Kristen run the show.
I thought it was page.
All right, and then one thing I want to get side by side going first.
Do it anymore? Oh, everybody.
All right, so quick show of hands. Who would say that your database, the people that you know, that know you, is where a significant portion of your business comes from? Okay, those that aren't raising your hand, where does a significant portion of your business come from? If it's not from your database, where's it from? Nowhere yet. Nowhere yet, okay, so we're just getting going, that makes sense. Okay, so we even have a fancy PowerPoint presentation. I've never talked to the PowerPoint presentation, but since we're a little slow on listings these days, Kristen here has put together a great PowerPoint presentation for us to go through. So with that, let's look at our first slide here. So
Might have-
there you go. Do you want a mic? I don't.
Do they need a mic?
Nah.
I'm normally too loud. Okay, so first, I just want to share a few things with you. This is our pie chart. Any of you that's walked by our office back there, we have it hanging up on the windows. You're seeing the back side of it. Feel free to step in and take a look at it. But we've kind of had this model for a number of years. Where we're gonna look at, okay, how much business is coming from our database? Okay, how much business is coming from our business to business, right? How much from our target markets, which is our direct farm areas, and how much from marketing. So, people find us online or, find us on Zillow or whatnot, right? So, as you can see, the blue here, the database is the biggest chunk of our year. This is for last year. Right here, as you can see, there's a lot of empty lines on last year compared to what our goal was. Raise your hand if your last year didn't quite turn out how you were hoping it was going to. Yeah, so last year was a little bit of a interesting deal, but for us, even last year, 52% of our business came from our database, 10% was from our business to business, 25% was from our farm, and 13% from marketing. So this is a result of, Bobby, you're late, 6 minutes, come on. So this is a result of what I am doing in my business today as a result of sitting down with Saul 20 years ago when I started, right? Which is, what, 20 years, look at that. That happens to you. Bob, might even happen to you. So, so after 20 years ago, I said, hey, like, I know what my strengths are, I know what my weaknesses are, and want to build a business around those strengths. So, and I know that I didn't want to build a business around chasing for sale by owners and calling expired listings and door knocking neighborhoods, right? So we said, okay, well, database and farm is where I need to spend my time. So as you can see, that was 77% of our business last year. And that's kind of a pretty typical number for us. So next slide there, Vanna. Okay, so who was in your database? I was fortunate enough to be born and raised here. Born in Arm Hospital. I've not gone very far in life, let me tell you. So, let's start with the people that know, like, and trust you. So if you are involved in a church, involved in kids' sports teams, involved in, you know, any groups, anybody that you know, anybody that's in your phone that you have a relationship with, that is somebody that can be in your database, right? So, past clients, obviously, friends, neighbors, and then vendors who might refer you, that's really kind of ties into that whole business side. We've kind of just always done it under our database. So one thing that's very important is that you have a place to keep all of this information. And like this dude here is putting it in his shorts, like putting them on sticky notes with their name and whatever, and then throwing it in your pocket or throwing it in a shoebox is not a valid option. Okay, so let me see a show of hands. Looking at you, Amanda. How many people have a database put together, right? So you have a list of people, right? I don't care if it's 10 or if it's 500, but a list of people that you have a name, address, phone number, email. Okay. Good. That's so refreshing to see. Good job, Eric. Okay. So we got a good chunk of the room. We use Outlook only because I am old school and that's what I started using forever ago. And it's just worked. We use Outlook and Excel. Google Sheets another option. There's MyDesk is an option. A fancy CRM, Top Producer, Wise Agent, whatever you want to use. It doesn't matter. Just have it somewhere. So like I said, name, address, phone numbers, emails, right? So both, if it's a couple, you want both of their emails and both of their phone numbers. The other thing that's very important is I like to have, you need a note section, right? So like I just use the Outlook contact, and in the note section, of the Outlook contact, I think it's on the next slide. No, so we'll get to that in a second. Right there, okay? So I type in the notes, okay? Here's the date that I talked to them, right? You know, these guys were referred by so-and-so. They've lived in the house 31 years, went out, yada, 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 right? So, you need to have a place to keep notes. So when you call them in a year or in 2 years, or what's the next one? What year is this? 2008. This lady's on my follow-up list for next week. Still. How many years is that? 15 years? Well, I stopped by her house the other day, and unfortunately, it's kind of very sad. They're like, her nephew's there living with her now, and there was like some home health care there. So she's like, I never know if she's alive when I call. So, but it's 15 years, right? I've been talking to this lady. So she actually just kind of become a friend that I talk to twice a year just to call and see how she's doing. So, yeah, we skipped a few slides to go back there. Okay, so name, address, phone number, we got all that. So next slide is, now you got to categorize these people, okay? And you'll see on your handout, A, B, C, or D. And now this comes from like Buffini over the years, things like that, kind of categorizing. Now, the problem with how we are doing it is, as you can see, so first let's look at what an A, B, C, or D is, right? A, they actively refer us. We're likely to get multiple referrals from them each year. Okay, so these might be business people too, right? If you're not thinking about a separate business to business list, it's all in your database. Your A's would be, your business people who might be able to refer you more. Okay, B's, they would refer us to a friend. These are people that we see in our regular day-to-day lives and people that we would want to connect with just to check in, right? So you're just gonna talk to these people because you like talking to them, right? We would recognize these people at the store and would go out of our way to say hi. We'll likely cross paths at least one time a year. This is this is just something that we came up with as far as like, what is our definition of an A, B, or C, right? A C, a lot of times these are past clients, right? They would refer us, but we don't see them on our regular day-to-day lives. We might not even recognize them in the grocery store, right? That's true, especially for our sellers. We don't, I mean, buyers, we see more often, right? Like when you guys are a buyer with them. A seller, at least the way we operate on our team, I might go see our seller on the listing presentation, and that might be the only time I see them in person. Right? Because Kristen's out there helping with stuff. Everything else that we do end up doing ends up being over the phone or electronic signatures, all of that. Like I may not see those clients in person more than once or twice, right? So those are our C's. And then D used to stand for delete, right? Back in the beginning days. But now we have it, we call it digital. Okay, so email only. So those people maybe have never done a deal with us, refer us, but they would possibly use us if they had a need. Or maybe they moved out of the area, but we know they still have contacts here, so we still want to kind of keep our name top of mind. Or they still live in the area, but no longer own a home. Jim,
How many transactions do you generally do per year on the deed?
we'll get to D's, not.
Okay.
But D became like, well, we have these people, we've been dripping on these people, but like, for example, a house we just sold, closed this week. It was, they found us online, okay, so no relationship there. They found us online, we sold their house out in 10 Trails, they're getting a divorce, he's moving to an apartment somewhere, you know, up north, she's moving to an apartment in Gig Harbor. They're both kind of now out of our market area. We had no relationship with them prior to coming into this transaction, right? They're not involved in real estate now. They may end up buying something at some point, especially because they're both renting. There's a good chance they're gonna be moving around, right? So I don't wanna put them on a mailing list where they're, you know, a year from now, it's going to the house and they're not even there anymore, or the apartment, right? So we created this digital category, so it's a way we can still drip on them via email. But you know, not waste money sending a postcard that's going to a house that they don't live at. So let's take a look across the top there on kind of what these different kind of people are getting or we're doing. So the first one is database mailer, right? So our monthly mailer, which we'll talk about. HomeBot, right? Which is the, you know, monthly email evaluation. Our e-newsletter, which is we send through MailChimp for market updates. We'll come back to all this stuff, but I'm just giving you an update. So John's got housing update, right? So that's all through my desk. The baseball invite, week after next is our annual baseball game. Poinsettia deliveries, right? Toy drive invite. Okay, and annual phone call. So the problem that I was starting to say is, as you can see, there's very little difference between A, B, and C. On your handout, actually, I think it doesn't have the annual phone call check, but we actually do call the C. So I just finished, we'll stop here in a second, calling through our database. So our A's, B's, and C's are not getting treated any differently. Originally, they were, right? Okay, if I'm only gonna make some phone calls, what people should I call? Okay, but, you know, over time, we just have decided, we just gotta step it up. And even the C's, right? Because the C's are still doing real estate transactions. Just because they're a C in our mind, because we don't see them or may not recognize them, doesn't mean they're not doing a real estate transaction, right? So it's still just as important to call them as the A's. So now we're doing essentially all of these things to all these people. Next slide. Yeah, skip both those. We already talked about those. What's this? Okay, so you need to create a marketing plan. Okay, so some of the things we just talked about here: postcards, emails, events, social media posts, pop buys, like handwritten cards, calls, winter trip. Like, what are we doing? Okay, so the other handout there is our marketing calendar. Okay, so it's easy to say, hey, we're going to send a postcard every month. We're going to send an email every month. We're going to send, you know, whatever. We're going to do 3 events a year. There is, I remember somebody telling me this thing a long time ago, talking about like, does anybody use a to-do list, right? I like live my life by a to-do list. But do you have things that sit on your to-do list sometimes for a little while? Okay. unless the to-do list and the item from the to-do list makes it into your calendar, it won't happen. Right? Same thing with your marketing to-dos, right? So we, at the beginning of the year, normally like November, we're getting ready for the next year. We're looking at the next year and we know what we're gonna do when. Because how many people, raise your hand if you've said, oh yeah, I'm gonna send out a postcard, this month. And all of a sudden it's the 31st and you haven't even started designing it. Right? Okay, so, or it's the middle of the month and you got 2 listings to put on that week and you don't even know what your content's gonna be for your postcard. So we try and plan out as much as reasonably possible, right? For all of our different kind of things we're doing marketing for, right? So our different farm areas, our database, we've taken over Larry Lamb's database, events and emails. We try and plan that out for the year. So we know that when we're in the middle of a spring market and we need to say, oh, we need to get our mailer out for April, we already know what the topic is, right? It was a market update. It was a trifold style with letter of the heart, right? Which we'll talk about those. We know when our events are happening. So again, you guys, we're intentional about this. We're not just throwing out postcards when we're thinking about it or when we're not thinking about it. We have a plan. And as we go through each month, we check off the box, right? I'm a big check the box guy. Okay. So you need to have a marketing calendar. So McKenna, who we graciously trained for the last 1.5 years for you guys, right?
Thank you.
And now is available to you guys to use. She's in Hawaii today. But like McKenna can help you guys, create this stuff, right? So she can't do it all for you, right? But she can help you get going in the right direction. So that's your marketing calendar. You need to have one so you know what you're trying to do. Postcards, okay? So we use Marty at Umbrella Graphics. We've used Marty since probably 2007. We were the ones who brought Marty into kind of the John L. Scott space way back when. So we send out postcards. These are we do a quarterly, or not quarterly, twice a year is more of a market update that includes a letter of the heart. So it'll have like this one goes to our database, which our database primarily live in Southeast King County or East Pierce County. So we have kind of some stats for there, a little bit of what's happening in the market right now, right? And then we also include the letter of the heart, okay? I resisted a long time to do the letter of the heart. You heard John talk about them. It's something that the core teaches. I always thought, man, why do people don't want to hear about, what I've been up to or whatever? And there's actually this little website called Facebook that's kind of what it is. People showing what they've been up to, and apparently it's kind of caught on, right?
Mhm.
So we just do a print version of a Facebook post, right? So this was lessons learned on the trail, right? So talked about just kind of life lessons that we've picked up with our kids as a result of some hiking. So
Hey, Josh, did
Yes.
you write that whole thing out or what did you do?
no.
How did you get
I
together with
give
writing?
some notes to Kristen.
All right.
And
So you guys, I kind of knew that or figured
Yeah.
that, but you guys have GPT, you can easily use, to kind of get a mainframe of an idea for a letter. of
And it
heart
doesn't-
if You don't know what to write.
And it doesn't need to be a lot, this was probably more than normal, I would say on this one, maybe it's a little more. But photos are huge too. So postcards, but you want to show proof of success, right? Hey, I'm doing something, whether it's just, one listing that you sold or 4 or whatever, you want to have some proof of success on there. So we send out 8 to 10 mailings a year to our database, kind of depends on what's going on. But again, those are on the calendar. Yeah.
How many times do you do the fruit success per year?
I don't know, it's on this thing, probably 4 or 5. Probably have some sort of proof of success on them. All right, next slide. Emails, okay, so how many of you are doing regular video market updates to your database? Okay, it's like it's just me. So there's an easy way to do them. Like, so when we do them, oftentimes we shoot it with two cameras at once, okay? Because the easiest way to do a market update video is a Facebook Live. And that gets more views than if you shoot a video and then upload it to Facebook, right? Facebook likes the live better than the upload, right? So when we shoot a market update video, we have two cameras that I'm looking at. I look right between them. And one is on, they're both on phones, but one is a Facebook Live and one is just recording so that if we want to come back and edit it and stuff, we can. But the easiest way to do that would be a Facebook Live. We record a video, we send it out via MailChimp, okay? So they're getting a monthly e-newsletter from us with either a market update or an event invitation. Right? Okay,
Josh, what if you mess up during the
it
video?
doesn't matter. You're not perfect,
Here came on.
okay? Okay, this one, we should be more hands on this one. How many people have John L. Scott's free service that's provided to you of a housing update going out to your, okay, a little better there, okay? You guys, this is a set it and forget it one. This is the one that makes up for the months that we miss our monthly e-newsletter because we were too busy or we were on vacation or whatever the problem was, right? At least they're still getting this, right? So this is a set it and forget it. You set it up for the area that they're in, right? If it's, King County is divided into several different areas. Pierce County unfortunately is one big area. Jeff, try and work on that. Talk to Lex about it, but he's, couldn't do it. But, but set it up, whether it just be for the whole county or for their region. And then the other email that they're getting from us each month is HomeBot. So John L. Scott has what's John L. Scott? Buy-side tool. I personally liked HomeBot better as far as the client interface of it. But either one, right? The buy-side's free, HomeBot, $15 a month, something like that. So every month, right? We have our clients getting typically 3 emails. 2 of which automated, don't take a minute of our time once they're set up. Okay, and then the third one is the monthly newsletter. Events. Okay, so we have our Tacoma Rainiers game coming up in 2 weeks. Anybody do events at the Rainiers game? I know you have. Good. Okay, so we do the Rainiers game because most of our clients live in the South End, and quite frankly, I'd much rather go to Cheney Stadium in Tacoma than Seattle. Lots of reasons. So we have that coming up. It's a great event. It's like $15 a ticket, something like that. It's very affordable. There's not a bad seat in the house. Like the whole stadium is awesome. It's way more like family friendly, kid friendly. It's not like big overwhelming place. So it's just more intimate. So the Rainiers game, this is something that we're going to do in August that we've never done before. But I was just looking for another kind of reason for engagement. We're doing a Menchie's like back to school night, right? The Menchie's up there in Lakeland Hills. I got to know the owner. Yes, I go there a little too often, but my kids like it, so I'm a good dad to take them there. But I think they do like the $5 fill up or $6 fill up or whatever it is. So we're just going to negotiate that deal with the owner. Hey, like I'm going to bring in 50 people over the course of we're just going to have it as like an open house, right? From 6:30 to 8 on this night or whatever. So we're still trying to figure out the details of that. We're also going to tie that into a like a back to school drive, right? For school supplies or things like that. Probably with the Auburn Public Schools Foundation. We haven't figured that out yet, but so we'll do that. And then we've been doing the toy drive for before 8 years, 7, 8 years. So we collect toys for kids at Mary Bridge. We have like a legit Santa comes in from the North Pole. And yeah, we've collected thousands. I mean, I don't know what our total is up to. We're probably up to 6,000, 7,000 toys we've collected over the last 7 years. That all get donated to Mary Bridge Children's Hospital in Tacoma. So that's a whole nother class to talk about events. But yeah, we have photos of Santa, crafts for the kids, milk and cookies, donut or whatever. So yeah, that's what we're doing for our events. But events, I mean. These aren't overly expensive event. I bet the toy drive, we probably do for less than $2,000. Of actual like hard cost, and we even get some of that covered by some of our sponsors, like a lender or whatever, to help pay for some of the things. You know, Menchie's night, okay, so you're $5-6 a thing, you have, 40 people, that's $200. Show me an event you can do where you can have, 20 to 50 face-to-faces for under $300. Right? Like that's no brainer. And even these, right? Like we're taking, we're at about 200 people that are RSVP'd for the game. Splitting that cost with a lender 50-50, so it's about $7 a person. So that's what, $1,500, something like that. Oh, we remind the Raiders have not called Dahlia Bird Bear out yet. Okay, so that's event. Social media, I'm not a big social media guy. I despise Big Brother spying on us and all that crap. But that's where all of our clients' eyeballs are at, right? So just listed, just sold posts are key, right? This is a free way for you to have marketing in front of your database, right? So testimonials, right? That people post about you on, Zillow or Google or wherever you're asking for your reviews, which you should be doing, but it's a whole nother thing. Market update video, obviously, we talked about event promo recap. But some fun stuff too, right? Like, look at this. I'm at this guy's house. This house is actually on the market still, if anybody's interested. This is not one of our marketing photos for the house, so that's not good. Like this thing to stretch your back. But yeah, so social media, use it. The other thing too is, I don't know how you do it or whatever, but you can take like an Excel file of your database of their like name and email and upload that to Facebook to create like a target audience of your database. So talk to somebody who knows how to do that, and that way you're getting more exposure to those people.
We also we invite our clients to like our pages.
Yes, so when we're like listing homes and stuff, we're sending out, as soon as like the home goes on the market, we're sending out the welcome email to them. And it'll have a link to our Facebook post for their listing on it, or and to our page, saying to like this page and share it with your friends too. So
Hey Josh, how do you get a good turnout for your events? What's your process?
well, you got to call.
Okay.
So there's honestly, the whole reason, why do you guys think we do events? Why do we do events?
Face to face.
Yes, face to face. But even more than the face to face,
Just a reason to call.
a reason to call. Okay, I struggled for years, you guys, at calling my database. I did not want to call my database, especially calling all through everybody. No, would not do it. And part of that is a result of I remember going down, this was back, I don't know how many years ago, 15 years ago or more, like me, John By, Moose, Thatch, right? We're down at the call center in Renton, saw this little building, they rented with these little phone booths in it. And I went down there, I'll never forget. I started at A's, okay? Top of my list with A's was, I don't even know I can't even tell you the first name because I've always called them Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. Asmussen, Harold and something. No. So a little old lady that was friends with my grandparents that I've known since I was born, right? And the Mike Ferry script was, well, hello, Mrs. Asmussen. This is Josh Hall. This is a business call. Do you have a moment for me? I'm like, I'm not doing that. This is somebody who I've known for my whole life, right? Who I have a relationship with. That script is not me, right? And that unfortunately took me many years to get past that. To where, now I'm more comfortable calling my database. But coming back to your question, the whole reason that we do events is to call and have a conversation with people, right? Other options, right? So calling is the best, right? We obviously send out email invitations, to our Rainiers game. We've done slide dial before, or slide text, which can be a great tool. But again, those are emails, slide dial, slide text, those are what? Shortcuts that is skipping the most important part for the reason of the event is the call. So don't take the easy way out because you can, because you're skipping the most powerful step in the process, which is the phone call. So. Pot buys. Oh, man, my mother-in-law, she passed away in 2016, but she always had some awesome cheesy pot buy ideas for me. I should have seen if we had some. I think we have some of the fountain. So those of you that have been around for a while, I did one of these classes, it's been a long time, I guess probably 10 years or more. Anybody still around? Anybody more than 10 years in the office? Family? Yeah, we got a few. Yeah, okay. So at the dollar store, at our old office, we were next to a Dollar Tree, right? So you could go over and they had these little, like, I don't know, like a 4-inch by 4-inch little Christmas box, right? So I get that with some like goofy little thing, like I remember there was like a little telephone piggy bank, where we put a penny in it, and then with like a little thing like, you know, if somebody was looking to sell a home in 2003, you know, give me a jingle, right? And it was just like this piggy bank with a couple pennies in that jingle, right? So we've got away from those. Our 2 pop dives that we do, pumpkin pie deliveries, those go to any of our buyers that bought that year. Okay, so they bought during 2023, they're going to get a pumpkin pie. Okay, well, they're $5, $6. I get the pumpkin ones because the apple ones are like $13 for an apple pie at Costco. But the pumpkin pie, they're like $5 or $6. Okay, so we go to Costco, we buy them, and then we go deliver them. We intentionally deliver them the Monday, not the Tuesday or Wednesday, the Monday before Thanksgiving. The reason we do the Monday is when we were doing it on Tuesday and Wednesday, we were realizing that people were already out of town, right? So already had picked up what they needed to pick up. So getting out there on Monday is a better chance of them getting it and not getting eaten by the local raccoons or whatever. So we do those, but then our big deal is our poinsettias. So 4-pack at Costco, as you can see, we take the whole rack from Costco and roll it up to the checkout stand. We always get somebody like, what the heck are you doing? You can't do this. I'm like, we do it every year. Like, your manager likes us. Like, we take the whole rack out into the parking lot after we pay for it, and then unload all of these. There's about 100 of them that'll fit on a rack, right? So Jeff and I can each fit about 50 in our car at a time, and then we go do our delivery. So every one of our clients, our A's, our B's, and our C's, right, are getting a hand-delivered poinsettia on their porch the week after Thanksgiving. Okay, so then it's there throughout the whole Christmas season. And with this, is like a, you know, Merry Christmas card, and on the back side of that, an invite to our toy drive, reciprocity. Hey, these people just delivered this poinsettia. They do these poinsettias every year. It's like clockwork. We get a poinsettia every year. Man, they have this toy drive. We should help. We should go take something to the toy drive. So that's our poinsettia deliveries. This is also a great way to purge your database. I am not exempt. Every year, there's a few people that we end up taking off because we go to the house and we realize they don't live there anymore. They sold to somebody else. That's life, guys. We don't get all of them. Nobody does, right? So especially like our C's, right? Maybe we weren't as connected with. So these poinsettias are also a great way to, because after you've been to the house for a couple of years and you go and it looks totally different, right? Either like they always have the yard super manicured and now it's not. Well, maybe there's a new owner there, or they may have a significant life event going on that they may need to sell the home, right? So you don't get that information if you're not out there, okay?
Josh, real quick, so that's buyers and sellers?
This is everybody in our database.
So why are only buyers?
I'm sorry, everybody in our database except the buyers that just got this.
Okay.
So buyers, the first year you get this pie with a little thing about, well, you hope you enjoy your first Thanksgiving in your new home.
Oh.
Here's a pie, whatever, right? This also has the invite to the toy drive. But then everybody else in the database and these buyers, the next year they're gonna
Yeah.
get
Okay.
poinsettias.
Okay.
We delivered 480 some poinsettias.
How much
on
was
doorstep.
that? How much does that cost you every year?
Well, it's $5 a piece. So $20 bucks plus $1,000 in gas. All right, next slide. Handwritten notes, okay? Birthday cards, again, this is another thing that I stolen from John, is the birthday cards with the dollar scratch tickets. If you know them well, you can say, I hope you get lucky on your birthday. If not, it's kind of awkward to say that. Happy house anniversary. So we have a house anniversary list. We just keep this in an Excel sheet, different tab for every month. Every time there's a closing, part of our process, right? Process is to add that closing to our Excel sheet. And yeah, so we're sending out house anniversary cards. So I'll just say, hey, can you believe it's been, 6 years in your house? Hope all is well, whatever. We are actually now just starting to shift that a little bit too. Jeff and I were talking about this last week, we were talking about how our house anniversary cards has become a crutch to not do what?
Oh.
Yes. So what we're doing starting this month is Jeff and I talking about whose buyer it was, we're calling them, okay? Leaving a message and sending a card to go and talk to them. But the intent is the call is more important than the card. Both is good too, but. Okay, call through okay. It took me a long time to try to get to say that I've done this. Call through the entire database, first 5 months of the year. Why the first 5 months of the year and not just take it and spread that database out over the whole year?
That's the most important time of the year.
Exactly. When people are figuring out if they're gonna do something, it's in that spring market, right? So what would be better than this is calling through your database twice a year, because guess what? If you call through within the first 5 months, you still have 7 months to do it again. Right? So, but at a very minimum, you gotta be calling them once a year. Okay? And then if you're also doing event calls, things like that, later in the year, that's even better. So we call through the entire database once a year, and we're on their doorstep once a year with our poinsettia deliveries. Okay? And we're talking to those people. So going back to the poinsettia delivery, because some people say, like, how do you get so many, 50 deliveries done in a day? My motor, this will drive the EV people crazy, all the oil people. My motor on my Toyota does not shut off from when I pull out of Costco till I get into my garage at home. Right? It's run. I pull into the driveway, I grab the poinsettia, I go up to the front porch. I do not go into houses. I don't have time. I have 480 to deliver between Jeff and I, right? The first year Jeff went into a few houses. They're like, oh boy, that just hosed us. You're working an extra day at the end of the week. Catch up. So, hey, everything's on the porch. Hey, so great to see you. Here's our poinsettia. Hope you guys are well. Reminder, we have our toy drive coming up, week after next. We'd love to see you. Oh, love to come in, but as you can imagine, I got several of these to do, whatever, right? So you're just having a, couple minute conversation on the porch, if they're even home, okay? The best thing last year, this is going back to poinsettia deliveries, is remember that week after Thanksgiving when it did what?
Yeah. it was like
Snow.
hail.
Snow, okay? Cameron, you're out in Enumclaw, you guys had like a foot. I had so much fun delivering poinsettias in Buckley and Enumclaw because there's a foot of snow, just throw the 4Runner and 4-wheel drive, that's like my jam. And guess what? When there's a foot of snow, everybody's home. So between COVID for 2 years and snow, we've had 3 years of like really high contact ratios, right? So, okay, so calling through the first 5 months, if you wonder if they're even there, check Realist. That's the easiest way to just check and see if the house is sold, right? And then record notes during or after the call. So did we give them one of these sheets? Okay, so this is just one sheet, right? In my binder that I have, that I kind of operate off of, I have our entire database divided into 19 weeks. Okay, I just finished last week. calling through all 480-ish people. Okay, so they're just in here alphabetically. Oh, this is actually Jeff's list, but, my list is, yeah, should have done my list.
Yours is on the screen.
Oh, yeah, see, look at this. Jeff, if you're watching, see, Jeff only has to do this much, look how many I have to do, okay? So mine are divided, I think there's about 25 a week is how the math worked out to do it over 19 weeks, okay? Again, if the goal is to get it done the first half of the year, how many weeks are in the first half of the year? 26. Allow yourself, you're not gonna be perfect every week. You're not gonna get it, right? But at least you have a target. And then I would know, okay, shoot, I'm behind. So I might make 2 weeks worth in one day, right? Kristen knows. If I'm in my office and she sees me go over and go like this, right next to my desk, guess what I'm doing? I'm taking my shoes off. And that's just like a mental thing that I've done. It's like, okay, shoes are off. I'm not going anywhere. I gotta sit down until my calls are done. Right? Or sometimes you see me walking around the office, I don't have any shoes on, it's because I'm in the middle of calls and I'm going to the bathroom or something, okay? So you just gotta figure out what works for you. On this, can't see it on this one, but on here you can see. So I write the date that I call. Or if I see them face to face, if I see them face to face, is that better than a phone call? Yes, okay? So see them face to face. Especially if I have a real estate conversation with them. So like a lot of times, like people that are on my database list that I go to church with, a lot of times when I go through this list for the year, they're just gonna get marked down as a face-to-face of whenever I, had a chance to talk with them, right? Versus a phone call. Or if you have like a text conversation with somebody, some people just don't call. They like don't return your call, they just don't pick up the phone, but they'll sit there and text you for an hour, right? So that's okay, it's communication, it's 2023. People have different ways of communicating. But you gotta have a list, you gotta have a systematic list so that you can look and see, did I really call my database? Right? So I don't know of a way other than a list with a checkbox to hold somebody accountable, to hold myself accountable to did I really call my database? Because what happens with most people, it happened with me for a long time, is I call A to C every year. But if you're past C in my database, you never heard from me. Can anybody relate? Right? So, yeah, so just break it up by week. And those calls are not the, hello, Miss Ashton, Miss Josh Hall, do you have time for a business call? It's a, hey, Eric, I talked to you a while, I was just thinking about you, but I call and check in. Board calls, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, right? That's basics, guys. That's all we're talking about. If real estate comes up, awesome. It does most of the time, because they're gonna say, hey, how are you doing? Oh, good, yeah, work's been going, here's what's going on with the market, whatever, family's good, whatever, right? You wanna make the conversation though about them, not you just telling everybody what you're up to, right? So you wanna.
You said family, occupation, something, dreams.
Recreation, fun, vacation, things like that.
Hey, Josh,
yeah.
how do you keep yourself accountable? I mean, that's one of the things I think a lot of people struggle with. It's like, yeah, I'm going in the office on Monday. I'm gonna start right at 9 a.m. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna start my calls. And then you kind of get through and they call like, 10, 12 people. And the next thing you know, it's lunchtime and then they just stop calling. Then the next day, they make a couple.
Well, accountability has to come within. You gotta look at yourself in the mirror and say, did I work today? There's a reason that this industry has a turnover ratio like it does. Because Eric can only hold you so accountable. Jim can only hold you so accountable. Right? You gotta choose that you're gonna do it. Right? Like I have a team, I have to show up and perform because Christian would like a paycheck this month. Right? Like there's a certain level that you have to do, right? But has to come from within too. Like I was thinking about earlier, for years up in the old office, there was like a competition that was going on with me, John By, and Saul. You know what the competition was?
Who's getting to the office first?
Who got that first parking spot? Everybody remembers where Saul used to park his car at the old office right there by the fire hydrant? It was like John and I's goal to get there and get that spot, so Saul couldn't get it. Saul is normally there about 6:30, 6:45. Okay? There's a reason that John has had the success that he's had. There's a reason that I've had the success that I've had in the business. And it comes from showing up, having a plan and executing it. Not just showing up and having a plan. Showing up and having a plan is not gonna get you anything. You have to execute it, and you have to execute it consistently and over time. And I did not say you have to execute it perfectly, because I do not. I am lazy. I'd much rather be off on a road trip with my family or doing something than working. But you know what? We all gotta do it. So if you're gonna show up, you might as well do a good job at it. Might as well be, fairly consistent with it, right? And over time, that compounding effect will result in a business that will look like whatever you want it to look like. Your goal doesn't have to be to sell 150 houses or 200 houses or even 100 houses. Your goal can be like, hey, I'm just gonna have to be me. We're gonna do our database thing. We're gonna do 35 sales a year, 40 sales a year, whatever. But you have to have your goal, your plan to get there based on what you want to accomplish. That'll go side. Winter trip. So we do a winter trip. Again, this is just kind of a way of saying thank you to our database. Has this created any more transactions for us? I don't think so, honestly, but it's a way for us to just show some goodwill to our database. Another option that costs you zero is something that John L. Scott provides, right? They do a winter trip that you can enter your people into. So how it works is they give us a referral, their name goes on a list to go into a drawing twice a year. Pull out a winner, give them a $1,500 vacation gift card. So few of our winners for that. So but again, it's a great tool for goodwill. And with our house anniversary cards that we're sending, included in that house anniversary card is a little business card deal about the winter trip, just to keep it top of mind for people. So that's our winter trip program. Okay, so the numbers tell a story. Okay, so you can see, last year we were at 35 transactions out of our database. 3 years prior, 50, 55, 81. Anybody else have kind of a bang up year in 2021? 81 transactions out of our database of 480 people. Pretty not too shabby. Last year we're 35, we're 23 year to date this year. But normally we're like, 40 to 60 probably. It's kind of an average for us. And you can see normally we're 50 to 60% of our business. We're 72% of our business. Don't think that's a good thing. That's not a good thing. It's 72% because this year our farms have sucked. So our direct mail marketing is like, normally we do 15 transactions a year off of our direct mail marketing. We're at 1 so far this year. Right? Because we're in a market where there's 40% less listings coming to the market. Right? So just that business is not there. So it's bad that number is high. But normally we're 50 to 60% of our business is there. Next slide. Oh, yeah, okay. How many of you have realized that if we just keep doing this business and every year helping these clients and making a good living and doing this, unless we have a database that is in place of people that we know, like, and trust, and that know, like, and trust us, it is all for nothing. Because the second you don't have that stuff organized and you say, what, I don't know that I want to keep working. I'd like to retire. If you don't have anything in place, that's the end. Boom. $0 more for you. Okay. If you have a database in place that's been marketed to, that knows how to get a hold of you, right? That understands that you're in the business for the long haul, even if you decide I'm going to retire, okay? you have something that you can sell. Okay, and the most effective way to sell that is on a referral fee basis, right? So we've had a few agents that we've been working with over the last few years, right? Where they say, hey, I'm out, I don't want to be involved in the daily, negotiating deals and going on appointments and all of that anymore, I'm out. Like Larry Lamb, before Larry passed away, the year before he passed away, we did, I think, 12 transactions. That he got a 25% referral fee on every one of them, and all he did, I'll never forget. Larry sent me a picture of his toes in the sand on the beach, right? After he just called and made a referral. So he sent me a referral. He just made, $3,500 while he's sitting in his lawn chair on the beach, right? Every time he did that, right? So he made 50 grand sitting on the beach. Not a bad gig, right? But you have to have your database in order for that to even be an option for you. Okay, so I think that's our last slide on there. So we got about 8 minutes left. Any questions, any revelations, anything that's new? Tony?
So. It's funny, you go back to the picture a few minutes ago, how long of a ramp up time did you have when you originally started with zero, whatever you, when you started off your database? That you started getting consistent business.
So my business was from my database right out of the gate. I was fortunate to live here. So when I was born and raised here. So I started with a database of probably 150 people, something like that, maybe a little more. So my business has always been primarily database business. At the beginning, I was probably doing, I don't know, Jim, 10 to 15 transactions a year, right? After the first couple of year or two in the business.
Just took you like a year or two to kind of ramp up.
Yeah, probably at least a year. That's 20 years ago, Tony. I don't barely remember that far back.
The reason I say is a lot of times you're agent of get frustrated. 3 months in, they're gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's a year or two before you really start to get some traction, for sure. Bobby?
Do you do closing gifts? Why or why not?
Yes, so we do. So we do a few different things. The easiest thing, write this down, the easiest thing to gift, in my opinion, Mrs. Fields cookies. Okay, it's literally, you like, Kristen could probably, I think we just send this lady from Mrs. Fields an email, name, address that we want it to go to, and we already have like a predetermined package, right? This little 8-inch metal tin of cookies, and they have them customized with our logo on the front with congratulations. I think they're like,
35 or 40.
yeah, they were $25. Now they're like $40 probably. But it's an easy thing, right? All we're doing is sending an email. So that goes to our sellers when they close. And that also goes to our buyers after they get past inspection.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we use the same gift, but in different sides of the transaction. So a buyer, after we're past inspection, congratulations, you're buying a home, right? Here's some cookies, right? And then for the buyer, after they close, we have, the one right here. We have these, so a little like cooler bag thing. And we have a card that goes in it with a $50 gift card to Papa Murphy's Pizza. We used to try and do bring pizza to them on moving day. I don't work on weekends typically, so normally they're moving on weekends, so that didn't work. And you never know, what are they gonna want it at the old house or the new house, or how many people, or what kind of food do they like, or whatever. So the Papa Murphy's gift card, they can get whatever they want, wherever they want, bake it. And then we just have some some little snacky stuff in here, some plates, napkins, popcorn, cups. So this and the Papa Murphy's card being anything that they would need to, feed lunch for, half dozen people or whatever. So, what?
Pizza cutter.
Oh, and a pizza cutter. We love our pizza cutter. These things are great. Here, a logo, put on a pizza cutter, man. Now you've made it in life. You gotta- but yeah, so those are, and these things stick around people's houses, right? Like I go there, years later. The other thing too that we didn't talk about, oh, the third magnet here. Yeah, should be a magnet. Well, this one's gluten and dairy free. Yeah. Hold on, there's something else on gifts. So this is buyer gifts, sellers. Like I said, after or at closing, the sellers get the cookies. The other thing we do for sellers is I give the sellers $50 bill. Okay, so when we list the house, when we go take like the flyers and step out to the house, I have a handwritten note that I give them. You know, we're so excited to be, helping you sell your home. I'm sure you're gonna have to end up being out of your house during dinner time one night. Enjoy a dinner on me. $50 bill. We used to do like a Mama Sortini's gift card. But then like, especially during COVID, some restaurants weren't open, it was all different, everybody liked different things. So we just started giving a $50 bill, let them go to whatever their favorite restaurant is.
That was for sellers.
That's for sellers. So seller gets the $50 up front and the cookies at closing. Buyers get cookies after inspection and this bag at closing. So we're about call it $100 per client for gifts. Was that too much?
No.
Okay, I know, I'm kind of cheap. Yeah,
My question is like, sometime I'm thinking like how top manager for all the business by himself.
I have no idea how Saab does it by himself. Saab should be teaching this class, not me.
Also you and Christian, so sometimes like things that you do is like a lot, and for some people, especially for me.
Yeah.
I don't even have time for all of that. So what is your advice on making a team, like getting a team?
So you gotta start with some help, right? I mean, start with, whether it be like some transaction help. John L. Scott has some transaction management services for $350 a deal or less, right? So start with that. The office has support here, right? Within the front desk and McKenna. A market position, like utilize the resources that you have first, right? But at some point, right, I think it's once you're doing probably at least, 30-ish deals a year. Like getting past 30 on your own is probably not, it's gonna be pulling your hair out. You guys probably have a better idea on this.
It's probably 20.
20, yeah. So, yeah, once you're past 2 deals a month, you need to hire somebody, right? And that might be a part-time person. But
TC is your first.
your TC is your first hire.
Like when if you want to start doing the holiday pot buys and you've only done a few deals, you're giving like a point that your whole like friends and family. that way,
Absolutely, 100%.
Like, you don't have fun. But that's it's not just your client.
Correct, yeah, not just clients. A lot of those A's, B's, and C's, we've never done a transaction with, but there's people that we know, like, and trust, and that would refer us if they have somebody they could refer. But $5 a person for a poinsettia is, that we sometimes think it has to be something more expensive, man. I'm telling you what, that poinsettia, they're not even $5, because they're like $17 for a 4-pack. For something. So, yeah, that's a no-brainer option.
I see that you do, you've done some kind of like, you paid for someone's mortgage. I've seen some kind of raffles that you guys have done in the past.
That was the winter trip.
Oh, that's what it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, what she's talking about, there was one of the people in the picture there. She was Maria, who does a lot of house cleaning for us.
No, you've done something that you did like that, the Great Wolf Lodge.
Yes, that's the winter trip. Yeah, so the winter trip, the way that we present it is it's a $59 gift card to your choice of 3 places, Great Wolf Lodge, Suncadia, or Semiahmoo. Okay, that's how it started out. Realistically, what we've been doing, so now Suncadia is managed by Hyatt. So you no longer buy a gift card to Suncadia, you have to buy a Hyatt gift card. So I tell the clients like, hey, you can, if you want to get one there, you can use it at any Hyatt. So they can go to Mexico or do whatever they want to do with it. But Maria, I knew because she was calling me every once in a while and telling me like the update, like she's trying to pay off her mortgage, right? Single mom, just like really trying to get after that. That's what she's been really focused on. So when she was the winner, I said, Maria, I'll give you a $50 vacation gift card if you want. or if you'd rather just have the $1,500 to use to pay down, towards your mortgage, which is what she chose to do. I don't care how they want to spend it, but like, I knew that was something that she was really working on, so
Right.
she was,
Yeah.
she was more excited about that, chunk on her mortgage
Sure.
than,
You
taking a
went on a
vacation.
trip.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anything else?
Did you cover in the beginning, let's say I'm a new agent, I don't have a database, I don't know anybody here, I just moved here. How do we start?
Well, if you have a CD player, not even be a tape player, it's in Jim's office. The Brian Buffini, like the mayor campaign, they call it, right? So you just gotta start meeting people, right? So if you don't have a database, you have to create one, okay? So open houses, right? It's a great way to meet people. Get involved in different, chamber events, volunteer things, geographical farm. I'd say, what do you like to do? Okay, like if you really like to bike, go join a biking group and get to know the people there. That's a database you're creating, right? Or if you like to, quilt, join a quilting group, right? And just meet, you just gotta meet people. You have to be, you can't just like sit at your home and whine that you don't have any business. You gotta go meet people, get to know them. And like the mayor campaign that Brian Buffini used to teach was something about, introducing yourself. Hey, if you happen to have a real estate need or had a family member that had a real estate need, do you have a real estate agent you'd refer them to? Oh, no, not really. Great. Would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you? And, I'm totally butchered the script, but you get the point of asking for permission to stay in touch with them, right? Now you just added them to your database.
All right,
Cool. All right, thank you.
thank you so much. John. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so you heard it here first. You gotta get a database built together. I think for some of you that have been struggling and actually compiling and getting, organized, I think that's like kind of the first step. You gotta kind of turn off your phone, turn off the screens, sit down and just start, even if it's on pen to paper or from your phone, I guess, wherever your people are. You gotta get it organized. I mean, you just have to. If you don't have someplace or people to call, Josh is right, you're gonna have to build it out. You're gonna have to-
Outlook, everybody has Outlook on their computer. That's where we still to this day use Outlook. Honestly, it's been a pain because of having a team and everybody needing access to that. And there's just been some IT issues. But for, one person with an assistant, don't spend all this time trying to look at all the different CRMs because here's the problem with CRMs. They all try and do everything great and none of them do, right? It doesn't matter if it's Top Producer, Wise Agent, whatever, like there's probably not a CRM out there that has better email functionality than MailChimp. That's what MailChimp does, right? Like how many of us get emails that come through MailChimp? Like that's a platform. I think it's free if it's up to a certain number. We just kind of went over that threshold, so we're paying $40 a month or something now, right? So that's MailChimp. Our postcard stuff, all of that is just, we take our Outlook category, export that list into a CSV file, send it over to Marty, that's our mailing list, right? So I mean, with Outlook and Excel or Outlook and a Google Sheet, that is all you need.
Yeah, Josh is right. The CRM systems are all different.
Yeah, it probably does. Yeah, yeah, not very wise, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what, I find that, there's a distinction between what you need to do and what you like to do. And you have to understand that everything that Josh is talking about, it's not picking one thing and doing it, it's a layering process, it's a momentum building process, your business. So it's a matter of stacking the activities, whether it's mail, whether it's call, whether it's Popeye, whether it's events, whether it's closing, whatever it is. You have to understand, you gotta do it all to the extent that you can, because you'll never get any momentum. You can't just do what you like to do. Say, I like to mail, so I'm just gonna mail the world, and that's gonna be it. It's a combination of that, without a doubt, man.
100%.
Kind of buy in, understand this is a system, and how any real business is built. Sales is momentum, sales is layering, sales is, building something.
But when people ask like, oh, how did that postcard do for you? I think that's like, I have no idea. Because just because more people called after one postcard went out. That's just a matter of timing, right? And doing it frequently. So it's just a coincidence that it maybe got more calls. I think the biggest thing is staying in front of the people. The example I use on our team often is, how many of you could sit down and draw what a Bed Bath and Beyond 20% off coupon looks like?
Yeah.
A lot of us could, because it's the same coupon that's come in our mailbox for the last 10 years or whatever, right? Blue, white lettering, right? Well, yeah, so maybe that's not a good example. Now it's 50% off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only mailing, you gotta do that stuff too.
They didn't call.
Yeah.
They didn't call.
They
Bed Bath or Beyond called you and said, hey, happy
Well,
birthday.
you get the concept, right? The concept is the repetition and the consistency is more important than just the sporadic now and then.
And NER stats say that if you have just some semblance of a database, the people that do, their income is 261% higher than those that don't have. Even if you have a shoebox full of names and phone numbers, that's better than nothing. You achieve a 261% increase in production because of it. So it all starts with that.
Yep.
As Eric said, without that, you can't launch anything else.
That's correct. All right, let's give Josh another hand. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that, when the trip, that's not the John F.